we did Apollo because the Russians had shot Sputnik up in the skies, and we could see it moving so many thousand feet up in the air.
The 1960s. Space travel was taking flight all over the world.
We choose to go to the moon.
Dr. Morris Roper describes helping design and build rocket boosters.
To get into space, you have to have a three-stage setup. Piggyback rockets, one on top of the others, in order to reach a speed of 18,000 miles per hour, to break away from the Earth's gravitational pull.
That would blast Apollo into space.
And the United States was caught off guard. So we were afraid that the Soviet Union at that time was going to dominate space.
He has been in the front seat of change many times during his 88 years.
I was the only one of the minority in the Flight Test Analysis Station.
Scientists were breaking ground, working for NASA as contractors.
My involvement in it was the reliability and quality assurance design.
And a black man, Morris Roper, was shattering the glass ceiling and the atmosphere.
This was a project, Apollo, that was the most significant achievement in the history of mankind. Man has never done anything quite that elaborate.
He admits his work on the Apollo is unparalleled.
And now that I'm older, I really understand what I did.
Dr. Roper first gained his technical experience working with early guided missile systems as a commissioned officer in the U.S. Army. Harry S. Truman was president.
So I commanded all ethnic troops for the first time in the history of the United States military.
He grew up in downtown Charleston.
This is a picture of my mother and stepfather.
He walked to Catholic school with his two sisters.
The Oberlite Sisters of Providence taught us at Immaculate Conception School.
An obedient child who made straight A's, he says advice from his grandmother followed him throughout his life.
My grandmother motivated me. I was real skinny as a kid, and she said, "You see that man over there with that axe and pick? I don't know whether you can do that kind of work. You better get a job with a pencil."
His academic skills took him from military service to space missions to the head of the college classroom.
Around 1965, between 65 and 66.
In an interview for the newspaper at Pasadena City College, where he taught for more than 30 years, the computer scientist talked about the future.
Interviewed me about making predictions about what would happen in the area of computing.
Dr. Roper warned the more we relied on computers, the more risk computers would add to our lives.
I predicted that computer files that held banks, credit cards, bureaus, and the DMV and the IRS institutions and the police, just to name a few, had all of these computer databases available. And that was a lot of exposure.
Yeah, you even said there's really no way of preventing information about you from getting on a computer. Once you're on one, you can assume you are listed on hundreds of files.
So I predicted that way back in the 1965, that one has to be careful in safeguarding those files.
There are a lot of firsts in your career, Dr. Roper.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You can affect change if you perform and not think about it. You know, if you think about it, then it's gonna get in the way of your performance and your expertise and so forth and so on. But I always look at it as, it's a job, and I'm gonna, do the job.
1